गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Ajnana Khandanam, chapter 7 of the Amrutanubhava, verse number 213. Now, before we were, where are we? Before we were saying that how the witness has created the scene for itself to see and thus become a seer, meaning the self is playing with self and taking two roles of drishya, the drishya and the drashta. Someone's audio is on, can you please put it off? Let me check. So, therefore, experience per se has got no meaning, because the seer, the material out of which the seer and seen are made up, the substratum on which both of them are expressing, are nothing but that one indivisible truth. Just like there is no difference between two waves, because both of them are nothing but water. Exactly the same way, the seer and seen, we speak about them as separate, they appear to be separate, but actually the substratum is one. 213. Te drishya drashtati ahe ma davane ka sahe na davize tari no he taya to kahi. The scene is established due to the seer, the drashta. How can the seer, drashta, be proved to exist by the scene, drishya? Even without the scene, the self continues to exist. So here again, our attention is being brought that the object can never illuminate the subject. It is the subject which illuminates the object. Now, if this you agree, if you agree, then how can the consciousness be illuminated by the object called the thought? How is it possible? Simple conclusion. Just like the sofa cannot illuminate my eyes, the eyes illuminate the sofa. Same way, the waker, dreamer and sleeper cannot illuminate the consciousness, the witnessing consciousness or the consciousness. They are the illumined one. Illumined cannot illuminate. Recognize this about yourself, that you are the ultimate seer, and you are calling yourself seer because of the seen. But if there is no seen, you still continue to be. That is your truth. Without the seer, seen cannot exist. It is a daily experience that without any authority, who has seen an object or an incident, we do not accept the existence of the drishya, padartha, the seen. Without being aware of it, there is an unconscious acceptance that the drishya borrows its existence from the drashta or the seer. This sofa is there because I am there. This laptop is there because I am there. There is a seer. Or seer behind the eyes, if you want to say. And so also is true with every object in this world. This laptop cannot illuminate my eyes, the sofa cannot illuminate my eyes, the world cannot illuminate my eyes. The world is seen because there is a seer. This is the accepted fact. Because if you want to use the word vision, okay, vision. But that vision is because of whom? The seer. Another word for vision is seer. Therefore, where is the question that the drashta is indicated by the drishya? In other words, it is a proven fact in our life, in our experience, that the seen can never illuminate the seer. The words heard cannot illuminate the hearer. The color and form cannot illuminate the seer. The experienced cannot illuminate the experiencer. The known cannot illuminate the knower. Is the other way. In fact, everything that is seen, drishya vivek, everything that is seen, known, experienced, by the seer. So its existence, the existence of an object, is borrowed from the seer, because the seer is conscious. The seer is continuously existing. So that existence is borrowed by the inert objects, experienced objects. See? On the other hand, the drishya draws its existence from the drashta. Yeah, that's what is said here. Drishya draws its existence from the drashta. It borrows the existence from the seer. The seen, that is the seen. The seen borrows its existence from the seer. The known borrows its existence from the knower, and so on. Because I am alive, respiration is possible. Not because respiration is there, therefore I am alive. Wrong conclusion. But human beings live with that premise that because I am breathing, therefore I am alive. Therefore, the presence of the drishya padartha or triputi is not required to establish that there is a drashta. Meaning, triputi means a thought. Triputi means seer, seen, seeing, hearer, heard, hearing, taster, tasted, tasting, knower, known, knowing, experiencer, experienced, experiencing. These are all different types of thoughts, subject, object, and instrument of knowledge. That is called the triputi or the triad. Not the drug triad. This is the thought triad. So this triputi is not required, has got no capacity to illuminate the knower. This triputi is not required to be the knower. In other words, thinking is not required to be the pure consciousness that you are. Wow. Pure consciousness is not required. Sorry, triputi is not required. So thinking is not required. No, thinking is not required. That which is the substratum, is the wave required to be the water? The water exists independent of the wave. Whether the wave is there or not there, water continues to be. Exactly the same way. Whether ornament is there or not, the gold continues to be. Whether the pot is there or not, the mud continues to be. Whether the snake is there or not, the rope continues to be. Same way, whether the mind is there or not, the pure self continues to be. Pure self that I am at this, even at this moment, is not dependent on anything. It is self-existing. Understand, that is its definition. It's self-existing, self-illuminating, self-knowing. But every object in this world is dependent. It's existing on space, air, fire, water, earth. It's existing in time. It's existing in space. It is existing with a name and form. And it is existing. In order to exist, there has to be a knower in order for it to exist. See? But we can't speak the same language with regards to the self. Self is self-existing, self-illuminating, self-knowing. It is the substratum. Just as the water is not dependent on the waves for its existence, appearance and disappearance of waves have got no impact on water. Exactly the same way, appearance and disappearance of waking, dream, deep sleep, or the triputis has got no impact on the substratum, the self that I essentially am. This is contemplation. Drashta, the seer, the essential seer, the original seer is self-existing. There is nothing in this creation which can illuminate that seer. Now, this seer, this ultimate self, this substratum, can be looked at from 2 points of view. Or I should say, the triputi can be looked at from 2 points of view, because we are communicating here. And what is that? That first, when we think of triputi, when we think of subject, object and instrument of knowledge, when we think of seer, seen, seeing, hearer, heard, hearing, experienced, experiencer and experiencing, then it consists of, the triputi consists of these 3 elements. Outside these elements, what are the 3? Subject, object and instrument of knowledge. Outside these 3, the triputi does not exist. These are the parameters, these are the limits of the triputi. It has got no jurisdiction outside the seer, seen, seeing. This is the first, when we think of a triputi. And the second way to look at the triputi is by taking a higher stand, a eagle's viewpoint, and there the three elements of a triputi, the seer, seen and seeing, the subject, object and the instrument of knowledge, all these 3 are nothing but the pure self alone, the substratum alone. Just like the beginning, middle and the end of wave is nothing but water. Exactly the same way. The seer, seen, seeing is nothing but the substratum, the pure self, the pure consciousness, the Paramatma Tattva. Just as on the substratum of the water, the waves are manifesting and unmanifesting. Important point in the second one. Just like on the substratum of water, the waves are manifesting and unmanifesting, same way on the substratum of the pure consciousness, the Paramatma Tattva, the Triputis are manifesting and unmanifesting. And as I said before, therefore, the substratum is independent. It is not dependent on the Triputis. In fact, the Triputis are dependent on the substratum. Now apply this subjectively, that every thought that I am having is dependent on the conscious principle that I am. This conscious principle that I am, this consciousness that I am, this life that I am is not dependent on thoughts, is not dependent on breath, is not dependent on the world. If this clicks, you are sorted once and for all. Then the purpose for which you are born, that is achieved then. Your search is over. Just like the sun illuminates the whole world, but nothing in this world can illuminate the sun, exactly the same way, the supreme drashta, the supreme seer, the substratum, the pure consciousness, illuminate, in its presence everything is illumined. But nothing can illuminate the presence. Nothing can illuminate the pure consciousness. Therefore, it is not necessary to prove that there is the Jagat, Jiva and the Ishvara in order to establish the existence of the substratum. So where does this thought of Jiv, Jagat, Ishvara come? When our attention is on the world. In order to prove where did this world come from? Why am I here? Where did this creation come from? Why is it difficult? What is the source of this world and me? What is my relationship with each one of them and myself? When these type of questions appear, and these questions appear only because our attention is on the world. World is nothing but objects. Objects are nothing but triputis. And when our attention is on the world, then cause and effect comes into play and we have to give some names. And those names are Jiv, Jagat, Ishwar. And then we talk about that this is the Ishvara is that one reality became Ishvara and Prakriti, then Prakriti became Trigunatmika, and then whole story is given. But is the truth because of that story of Ishvara and Prakriti? Or is he independent of Ishvara and Prakriti? Is the conscious principle dependent on Ishvara Prakriti? Because that Ishvara gave us the scriptures, he gave us the Bhagavad Gita, he gave us the Upanishads, he gave us the Vedas, he gave us the Vijnana Bhairav, etc., etc. So is the truth because the Lord says so? Is the truth because the teacher says so? Is the truth because the scriptures say so? Or are these because of the substratum, the pure consciousness? Who is giving validity to whom? Is the Lord giving validity to that absolute truth? Are the scriptures giving validity to the absolute truth? Are the gurus of this world giving the validity to the absolute truth? Or they are getting validity because the truth is there? We are addicted to thinking from bottom to top. Here, the teacher is saying, think from top to bottom. The top is all pervasive, bottom is specific, top is non specific. Think from the non specific point of view. That is the pure consciousness. It follows that when the attention is on the substratum supporting the trio of experiencer, experienced, and experience, the approach will be entirely different than if one were to think disproportionately of the experiencer or the object of the experience or the experience itself. This is what the Mundaka Upanishad says. When one's experiences are analyzed and reevaluated, one is bound to develop dispassion towards the worldly things, towards all efforts and to achieve. Then one will know that the truth is not the result of any action, but indeed all actions are possible because of the substratum which is ever present. This is what we were looking at in Bhagavad Gita also. And here, this point has come many times. Truth is not dependent on action. Actions are dependent on the truth. But we are talking about Triputi, and where have the actions come now? Triputi itself is an action. Action means movement. Triputi appears and disappears, manifests and unmanifests. Action is at the body level, at the speech level, and at the mind level. At the mind level, action is thoughts. And we don't need to think in order to be. In the deep sleep, there are no thoughts. Still you are. Bring that knowledge, bring that disposition into the waking. Bring it here at this moment. Relative existence cannot create any form or of reaction in the substratum. Because what is substratum? It is eternal. It is nirlipt. It is all pervasive. From space's point of view, there is no air, fire, water, earth. From the absolute standpoint, there is nothing called creation. From Ishvara's point of view, the creation may be there, may not be there, but it cannot affect him. He is nirlipt, he is unaffected, unentangled, unimpacted by the creation. But can that creation exist or express without the Ishvara at that level? When we are talking about Ishvara and Prakriti? No, Prakriti is dependent on the Ishvara. Ishvara is not dependent on the Prakriti. When there is no Prakriti, Ishvara is Paramatma. Ishvara is Brahman. Then Ishvaratva also goes away. So here what we are saying is that nothing in this creation no wave can bring forth a reaction from the ocean to say, you troubled me, you tickled me, I am going to smash you. Water will never say that. Why? He is in the wave also. He is the wave. Now apply this to yourself. How many times we self-sabotage? How many times in our life or in a day, forget life, in a day, how many times we think of ourselves as a low person, we think of ourselves as an incapable person, we think of ourselves as an individual, we think of ourselves as a living person because of the breath, because of the parents, because of the thoughts I am living. If I start losing my thoughts, start losing my mind, I become disturbed. I go to the doctors. I start looking what is happening to me, and they give a level, dementia, Alzheimer's, and you are stuck the moment you go there, because you have accepted his label about yourself, but you are not accepting the scripture's label about yourself. The scriptures are labeling you, you are independent, you are self-existing, you are self-illuminating, you are the substratum, and everything is existing in you. And the doctor is labeling you, you are dementia, you are losing your mind, and these are the symptoms, and you start imagining that all those symptoms are going to happen now. And because you think so, they happen. If you have to think, why not think that you are infinite? Why not you think that you are the substratum? Why not you think that you are all that there is? That will be more helpful, there will be more appropriate. If we have to think, why not think that? Why think this is not possible, that is not possible, this is difficult, that is difficult? That I was born, that I am dying, that I got so many difficulties, diseases, this, that. Why not you keep thinking that you are the Parabrahma, that you are the undisturbed one, that you are the equanimous one, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, that you are borrowing your existence and consciousness to the whole world, just like you do in the dream. Why don't you think like this? Why do we always have to be the low, the downtrodden, the dependent, the limited, the specific? Why? It's only out of habit, nothing else but out of habit. Change your perspective, my friends, change your perspective. And that is why we are studying this. Dhaneshwar Maharaj is saying, look at it. Relative existence cannot create any form of reaction in the substratum. The waking world can create reaction in the waker. But the one who is witnessing the waker, is he disturbed by the reaction of the waker? If you take the position of the waker, you will be disturbed. You take the position of the witness, you are undisturbed. The ocean will neither hold birthday parties for each wave born, nor hold condolence ceremony, shraddha, for each wave that dies. It is because of this I that so many wakers, dreamers, and deep sleepers have come and gone, but this I remains one without a second, and that I you are. That I am. That is the true connotation of the I. Not the I which is dependent on the drishya padartha. I'm not that I which is dependent on an object. I'm not that I which is dependent on the instrument of knowledge. I'm not that I which is dependent on the waking only. I'm that I which is independent of the waking I, the dream I, the sleep I. Then if once this clicks, then in the waking also, I am that I which is independent, undisturbed by the father I, the mother I, the daughter I, the sister I, you can keep adding the different. I am the independent one. But first this must click. I have always been the constant one. I have always known from childhood till today that the various wakers on a daily basis, the dreamers and the sleepers, have come and gone. That is our data. Data is not this waking world. This will click only if you are sincerely seeking the truth. If you are seeking relationships, you are seeking your children, grandchildren, you are seeking property and wealth, you are seeking experiences of this world, then this will not click. You will listen to it, you can repeat it, but it will not click. This will click only if we are sincerely, dedicatedly, and there is an urgency, the mumukshutvam is there. And once this clicks that you are that I, you are that eternal I which never comes and goes, at that very moment, everything what you have studied till now or not studied till now, everything becomes clear. You can never go back to being the waker, dreamer, or sleeper. You'll continue to be the eternal I, undisturbed by the experiences of the waking, by the triputi of the waking, by the triputi of the dream, and the triputi of the deep sleep. See? This principle of the independence of the substratum from the superimposed, from the relative existence, is explained through a few examples. Jnaneshwar Maharaj ki jai. Examples galore. आरिसा पाहता राहे तरी मुख जीवाया जाये ना तेणे वीण आहे आपण पेची. Even if the face does not see itself in the mirror, it continues to exist without the mirror. This is self-evident. We all know that. When the mirror is in front, it reflects the face, but the face does not owe its existence to the mirror. The original face, your face, it is not dependent on the mirror. If the mirror is removed and the reflection is gone, has the face been lost? No. Only the reflection is gone because the mirror is gone. But the original is still there. Shall we say, poor face, what will happen to it now that the reflection is removed? Will you complain? Swamiji says here, poverty is dependence, richness is independence. Poverty is dependency on the reflection. Independence is being the original. Independence is if you consider yourself a man or a woman. Dependency is when you consider yourself as father, mother, daughter, sister, uncle, auntie, etc., etc. Healthy, unhealthy, young or old. All this is dependency. The face is not dependent on the reflection for its existence. The reflection has no value. Similarly, man is the real, the father, the son, the husband, the uncle, all these are reflections. These are all the hats. They have got no value. And when we identify with these roles, we become miserable. Because we have forgotten the original. Be the original. In the same way, whether the experience is of joy or misery or indifference, whatever plane of consciousness it refers to, all are meaningless as far as the substratum is concerned. From the man point of view, the father, the son, the husband are meaningless because these are the roles which are dependent on the man. Exactly same way, joy, sorrows, indifference, all these are meaningless if the substratum, from the substratum point of view. So whenever you are in a situation where in a relationship The best way to come out of that, if something, if you feel yourself reacting, disturbed, etc., you immediately come back to being the man, and you will see it clearly.
Alert from no backups for
And you will
1,734 days.
And you will see that you are the undisturbed man. Only the role was getting disturbed, and immediate clarity comes, and all the issues get dropped in your mind. Same way, if you are disturbed by the mind, come back to being the witnessing consciousness. Then all happenings in the waking, all happenings in the dream, and non-happening in the deep sleep will have no impact on you. The pure self exists independent of everything. It is present in the presence of waking and dream planes of consciousness. It is present even in the absence. That is the deep sleep plane of consciousness. That which gives existence to absence can never be disturbed by the presence or by its relative opponent, the absence. So that because of which the waking, dream, and the absence, that is the deep sleep, appear. How can that substratum be disturbed by these three? We say waking experience is. This is waking experience right now. It is. It is existing. It is the reality. In the dream, you said that was the reality. In deep sleep, we say nothing was the reality. Nothing is. Dream is. Waking is. Where did, remember the verse 213 when we are looking at it? The scene is dependent on the seer. Seer is independent of the scene, whether it is there or not there. But the scene borrows its existence from the seer. So what is the scene now? You know what is the scene? Waking is the scene. Dream is the scene. Absence of the two is also seen. Because we speak in this with this language that I had deep sleep, that there was nothing in my mind. So absence is, void is. So these three, waking, dream, and deep sleep, they become the seen, they become the experienced. And where are they borrowing their existence from? They cannot, it is my dream, it is my waking, it is my deep sleep. Which I? The I who is borrowing the existence or lending its existence to these three states is the undisturbed one, is the substratum. And that I am. That I am. And once you recognize in this manner, then nothing in the waking can disturb. If deep sleep doesn't disturb you, how can waking and dream disturb you? Because dream and waking have come out of the deep sleep. Deep sleep is the cause, nothing is the cause, and out of this, the waking and dream have been projected out. If you become undisturbed by the deep sleep, if you become undisturbed by the absence, if we become undisturbed by the aloneness, if you remain undisturbed with an empty mind, the impact of that will be that all the specificities in the waking and dream will lose their impact on you. They will appear, but they will not have an impact on you. Think in this manner and realize. Don't shortchange yourself to be the waker and the dreamer and the sleeper. Be the witnessing consciousness. This substratum or pure consciousness functions through every triputi without undergoing any gain or loss. This substratum called water functions through every wave without undergoing any gain or loss. This substratum gold functions through every ornament without undergoing any gain or loss. This mud, the substratum, the mud, functions through every pot without undergoing any gain or loss. Similarly, the pure consciousness that I am, the substratum that I am, in essence, functions through every triputi without undergoing any gain or loss. For that, what is required? Sukha dukkha samay krutva, labha labhau samay krutva, jaya jayau samay krutva. Remain equanimous, remain in the center, remain undisturbed. You will remain undisturbed only when you are in the center, when you are in the poise, when you are not getting excited or depressed by the happenings of the world, by correctly recognizing your position. That is why when one realizes one's own essential nature, there is no justification for pride or arrogance. Because the one who had pride or arrogance, I am a seeker, I am a contemplator, I am a meditator, that fellow has dissolved away completely. In its place, only the substratum remains. Substratum has no identity. It has got no identity. The dawn of wisdom is never again, it always is. So then it is not that, oh, I had a glimpse, again I had a glimpse. I had a wonderful experience on the seat of meditation. It was so divine, it was so... All this is BS. Once we are abiding in the substratum as the substratum, then there is no question of ever having the glimpse of it again. There is no question of having an experience of it again. The Paramatma always is, whether one meditates or not, whether one chants the name of the Lord or not, whether one does the duty or not, whether one is alive or dead, does not matter. Substratum continues to be. That is what you are. That is what you are. That means wisdom is not a result now. It is your continuous state of existence. The dawn of wisdom is never again. That means, oh, I have to do this sadhana. Yesterday I had a wonderful experience. It clicked yesterday. Now again I want another click. Then tomorrow again I want another click. No, it is not like that. Then it's continuous wisdom. Just like at this moment, you have the continuous wisdom that you are a man or a woman. You don't have to think again and again. There is no realization again and again that I am a woman or I am a man, that I have five senses, that I have a mind. That knowledge doesn't go away. It's just continuous. Exactly the same way. When we accept ourselves and be the substratum which we actually are, that is our actual state, actual disposition. Then the wisdom, the actual self is of the nature of wisdom. And wisdom is continuous. It does not come and go because the thoughts are coming and going. The wisdom doesn't come and go because the experiences are coming and going. The wisdom doesn't come and go because the scriptures are there or not there. No. Then this substratum is giving validity to the scriptures. Not you are getting validity because of the scriptures. We had one Dargah Swami. Some of you have met Dargah Swami who have come with me to near Tirupati in Kadapa. He used to say, on his wall, he had about 250, 200 photographs of Mahatmas. One wall was complete collage of all these Mahatmas. And when you talk to him, he used to say, "Oh, Sai Baba, I made him the Sai Baba." And everything that he did, he used to ask me and I used to guide him. Chinmayananda, same thing. I told him to start the Chinmay mission and I told him to do this. No Mahatma in this has ever done anything without asking me. And as he was going through the stories of few other Mahatmas, then he concluded by saying in that disposition, not even one grain of sand can move without my permission. I give it validity. Who can say this? Can the waker say this? Can the dreamer say this? Can the father, mother, daughter, sister say this? Continuously dependent, continuously reacting, continuously excited if something happens, conducive, depressed if something doesn't go according to their wishes. Who can make this statement? Who has got no doubt as to what his disposition is, that the whole creation is only an expansion of this essential self that I am. And that is what Jnaneshwar Maharaj has realized, and that is what Jnaneshwar Maharaj is communicating to us so that we also recognize it in this lifetime. This idea that I have to meditate, I have to study scriptures, all that is good, we must. But don't get dependent on it, because you are the independent one. Then live in that independence. And it should not be make-believe independence. No, I will do what I want, the way I want. Then that is all going wrong. Where it suits you, I am independent. Where it doesn't suit you, you are dependent. न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके amrutatvamanashuh. Kaivalya Upanishad says, not by any action, na karmana, na prajaya, not by any progeny, na dhanena, not by any wealth, etc. The truth is created. By renunciation alone, tyagena eke amrutatvamanashuh. By renunciation alone, renunciation is renunciation of what? Of wrong perceptions, of distorted perception of the world. You are a man and you are thinking of yourself as a husband or a brother or a father. You never consider yourself to be a man. You are the pure consciousness, the witnessing consciousness, and you are considering yourself to be the waker, the dreamer, the sleeper. You are going to have problems in your life if you live that way. Nobody can stop you from having problems, because your perception of yourself and the world is distorted. Now, the original thought of ignorance is brought back. Jnaneshwar Maharaj asked, where is the question of Maya? Oh, that was in the beginning of the chapter. We are coming towards the conclusion. तैसे आत्मया ते आत्मया न दावी pai maya tari atma vavo ki vaya te chinaki. Similarly, if the self cannot be known objectively, then who gets falsified, the self or the maya? Naturally, it will be the maya, not the self. Self is the substratum. And remember, right now, if you are not being the actual self, you think, yeah, I got it, I understood it, then you are under the influence of Maya right now. It is because of Maya, ignorance, the self is not able to comprehend the self. This hypnosis of the world, this unwanted relationship with the world that we have created. Why we have created, don't ask. It has been created. Now you find your way back. Come back to being the original. Enough. Ki whatever has happened is because of Maya. Okay, leave it. Then does it indicate that the self is meaningless or that Maya is meaningless? Don't come to wrong conclusion that the self is meaningless. When self becomes meaningless, then we come to the nihilist philosophy, the Buddhist philosophy. Here, Maya is meaningless because Maya is Trigunatmika, Maya is the phenomena, Maya is which is appearing and disappearing. The self is not appearing and disappearing. The mind is appearing and disappearing. It is appearing in the waking and dream and disappearing in the deep sleep. Whereas the self become gone away or come, it is continuous. Maya is the one, or the mind is the one which is coming and going. The self is independent existence. Whether one is able to see the self or not, the self continues to be. Whether you see your eyes or not, the vision continues to be. Whether you see the mind or not see the mind continues to be. Similarly, in the same vein, whether you know the consciousness or not know the consciousness, whether you see the self or you don't see the self is always there. Because it is beyond the relative experience of seeing or not seeing. Seeing and not seeing is happening in the mind, where the seer is there and the seen is there, Triputi is there, and then between the two Triputis there is no Triputi. Not seeing is taking place. When your attention is outwards, then you will say, I saw the thought and I saw another thought, and between those two thoughts I did not see anything. There was void, there was emptiness. Is this I the one who knows the presence of the thought as well as the absence of the thought? Is this I the one who was in the thought the subject, or is independent of that temporary subject? Come to ascertain this within yourself. One can use such language as I see, I do not see only when something is other than me. Only where there is duality, this statement that I see or I do not see is possible. It cannot be applied when I talk about myself. When it is said that Maya is covering one's essential nature and therefore one is not able to know the self, it has got no meaning. We do not give validity to such statements, because even otherwise I cannot know myself, because I cannot be the object of knowledge. This is a wrong conclusion that Maya is covering the knowledge that I am the self. Maya cannot cover the knowledge. Phenomena is appearing in its own absence. I don't know myself because the eyes cannot see themselves, because eyes can never become the object of knowledge for the eyes. The mind cannot know itself because mind can never become an object of knowledge for the mind. Exactly the same way, the self cannot know itself objectively because it is one without a second. Because the self can never become an object of knowledge for itself. The water cannot know itself. Why? Because the water can never become an object of knowledge for water. Take the position of water. From water standpoint of view, there is only water. There is no ocean, there is no wave. So also true in your case. From the consciousness point of view, consciousness cannot come to know consciousness objectively. देखो, but in the relative world, one Mahatma has said, in the relative world, then how do we come to know ourselves? That is a valid question. In relative world, how do you know? Have a pure mind. Have a clear mind. Have a Shuddha Mana. What is that Shuddha Mana? As the previous example said, the mirror. Let there be no impurity in the mind. Mind mirror. When there is no impurity in the mind mirror, then the reflection will be seen as the original is. घूंघट के पट खोल तुझे पिया मिलेंगे. ये दिस इज द घूंघट. The dirt on the mirror is removed. The veil on the mirror or veil on the mind is removed. The ghungat has been removed. And when what is seen is the self alone. This is from devotional point of view. Because even otherwise I cannot know myself, because I cannot be the object of knowledge. The I cannot be an object of knowledge. Oh, but I know the waking dream and deep sleep came. But I also know the I thought is coming. I am saying I am good, I am bad, I am intelligent, I was born, I am hungry, blah blah blah. I know that this I thought is coming. When you say that you know the I thought is coming, that I thought is an inert thought. It is not conscious. That I know I am hungry, that whole thought is only an object of knowledge. There, that I is not the conscious I. You mean consciousness. That I does represent consciousness, but it is appearing as a thought which comes, stays and goes away. But the one who knows that this thought came, stayed and went away is other than that I thought. देखो. Therefore, to say that because of Maya or ignorance one is unable to know one's own essential nature is a wrong approach. Don't blame Maya. She is always there to help. If you have a wrong angle of approach towards Maya, then it's your problem, not Maya's problem. At a subjective level, the mind has to be oriented in the right manner. Just as the presence of or absence of the reflection cannot disprove the existence of the face, so also Maya can in no way reduce the glory of the self, because Maya expresses as manifestation and unmanifestation. These are the two ways in which the Maya expresses. So do you accept yourself as the manifested one, or do you accept yourself as the unmanifested one? If you accept any one of them, you are under the spell of Maya. You accept yourself as the waker and dreamer, or you accept yourself as the sleeper. You are under the influence of Maya. But if you accept yourself as the substratum, that I am the witnessing consciousness and in my presence, the manifestation and unmanifestation of the waking and dream manifestation, deep sleep unmanifestation. In my presence, I'm seeing the manifestation of the Triputi and the unmanifestation of the Triputi. I am seeing the manifestation of the breath. I am seeing the manifestation of no breath. Come back to be the original. It is the self which is supporting the Maya. It is the self that I am which supports the mind. Mind is not other than consciousness. Remember, we are told consciousness with thoughts is mind. Mind without thoughts is consciousness. So when we make this statement, where is mind other than consciousness? No. But where is the attention of the mind? On the thoughts. Then what happens to the mind when there are no thoughts? It is consciousness. But we have created a new terminology in our mind. What? No thoughts is equal to absence. No thoughts is equal to void. And then suffer because of that. Reflected light cannot know the nascent sunlight. This example I already gave. The reflection cannot see the original face. The Triputi, which is considered to be the effect of Maya, which is dependent on the substratum, cannot comprehend the substratum. It only shows that the self is powerful, not Maya. This is from knowledge point of view, that the mind can never, mind is the one where the Triputis are coming, and the Triputis are coming because of, we use the word Maya. Another word for Maya is ignorance. Another word for ignorance is self-forgetfulness. And where there is this, immediately association with the objectivity or with the projection takes place, and the thoughts come. And that's what is told, that the Triputi, which is considered to be the effect of Maya, which is dependent on the substratum. So every Triputi is dependent on the substratum. In other words, mind is dependent on the substratum. In other words, Maya is dependent on the substratum, not the other way round. The mind, the Maya, or the Triputis cannot come to understand, recognize, comprehend, know the substratum, the self that I am. It only shows that the self is powerful and not Maya. Yes, the sun is powerful and not the sunlight. The water is powerful, not the waves and ocean. The self is powerful and not the mind. Even though we said self is consciousness and mind is also consciousness. But the mind is not as powerful as the self, because it is dependent on the self. Because I cannot see my eyes with my own eyes, it does not mean that my eyes do not exist. So also, I, the Supreme Self, because of which this relativity and duality of knowledge versus ignorance is possible, cannot become the object of investigation by the Triputi. Ignorance or Maya should not therefore be given undue importance. We have already talked about this example of I cannot see I by my own eyes, and similarly the eyes continue to exist independently. So also the Supreme Self also exists independently. It is not dependent on the Triputi. It is not dependent on the intellect or the mind. It is not dependent on the bhava. It is not dependent on convictions. It is not dependent on any concepts, ideas, imaginations. It is not dependent on anything. It is independent, because it cannot become an object of knowledge. So, yes, when we look at the relative world, we talk about mind, we talk about Maya, we talk about coming and going, we talk about manifestation and unmanifestation. But when it comes to the self, all these fellows become neutralized, null and void, because the self is not in their jurisdiction. If the attention is on the Supreme I, where is the question of the spell of Maya? There is no question. If the attention is on the Supreme I, there is no question of the mind. Mind will dissolve there and then. When your attention is on the deep sleep, the mind dissolves. A wave can never know the ocean. For the moment it dives deep, there will be knowledge called the ocean, but there will be no entity example, that is the wave knowing the ocean. The waveness dissolves the moment it takes an inner dive. The moment we take an inner dive, our individuality dissolves. That individuality which was dependent on all triputis, we are thinking that we were born, we are living, we are existing, all the roles that we are playing, that we are a seeker, all that identity, self-imposed identity, self-imposed, all of that dissolves in toto without any effort the moment we become attentive of the substratum. In the same way, the seeker who is seeking the thought, that is the self, the meditator who is meditating on the absolute, will get totally merged in the absolute. From that point of view, no triputi will ever touch this I. This we have talked before, again the same point. It is impossible. The closer we go to, when we come closer to be the actual I, the substratum, all that is temporary, all that is finite, all that is coming and going, all that is, and that, what is that which is coming and going? Triputi. They lose their impact, they lose their potency. Therefore, we cannot comprehend the truth because of Maya. It does not mean that truth is not the reality. Because we are not able to know the truth through our mind, because we are not able to know the truth through the thoughts, the triputis, we should not conclude that the self is not. The self continues. It is the substratum because of which the triputi is, or the mind is happening. The inability of the instruments of knowledge to comprehend the truth has been stated by Bhagavan Sri Krishna when he said, that which cannot become the object of knowledge of the eyes, the sun being the presiding deity of the eyes, hence na bhasayate suryaha, om na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyato bhanti kutoyam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. That is the thought that is being presented here. Hence, na bhasate suryaha, that which cannot become the object of knowledge of the mind, shashanka, or of the speech, agni, pavakaha. So that truth which is not the object of knowledge of the speech, it is not the object of knowledge of the mind, and it is not the object of knowledge of the intellect, and it is beyond. All these, the intellect is considered as the sun here, the mind is said to be the moon, and speech is the fire. These are all sources of light. All these lights are borrowing the light of the consciousness by themselves. They do not have the ability to be the sun, the moon, or the fire. Those whose sights are trained on this truth, which is beyond the cognition of the Jnanendriyas, cross the threshold to the supreme abode. They take off from what is not to what is my supreme abode, and they never turn back. In other words, that all multiplicity, all relativity, all duality goes back into the source, just like in deep sleep, everything goes back to the source. All projection goes back to the source. But when we go to sleep, we come back to be awake after some time. Or we come back to dream after some time. But when we come back to the supreme reality, recognize ourselves to be the supreme reality, then there is no coming back. This is the conclusion. This is the way we must think. This is the way we must contemplate. Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying with these so many different examples, helping us again and again to be who we really are and not to imagine who we are. In other words, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. You are that truth in essence which cannot be illumined by the speech, which cannot be talked about by the speech, nor can it be comprehended by the mind. That's the one you are. Now we'll conclude here and we'll see we'll see few of you, if you are all coming to the Gita chanting at 3 o'clock. Come 5 minutes early so that we all settle down. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sit quietly for a moment.